Kwame Nkrumah was born in 1909 in Crawford, Gold Coast. Nkrumah studied to be a teacher at Achimota School in Accra from 1925 to 1935. For the following 5 years, he worked as a teacher in several schools in the Gold Coast, including Roman Catholic School in Axim, while he was saving money to continue his education in the United States of America. In 1935, Nkrumah sailed from Takoradi, Gold Coast, to Liverpool, England, and made his way to London, England, where he applied and received his student visa from the American Embassy. It was while Nkrumah was in London in late 1935 that he heard the news of the invasion of Abyssinia by fascist Italy, an event that outraged the young Nkrumah. This prompted him to set his sights on a political career. In October 1935, Nkrumah sailed from Liverpool to the United States, where he enrolled at the Lincoln University of Pennsylvania. He completed his Bachelor of Arts degree in 1939, and then he completed his Bachelor of Sacred Theology degree in 1942. Nkrumah also earned his Master's of Science degree in Education from the University of Pennsylvania in 1942, and then his MA in Philosophy in 1943. While he was lecturing in political science at Lincoln University, he was elected the president of the African Students Organization of the United States and Canada. As an undergraduate student at Lincoln University, he took part in at least one student theater production, and he published an essay on European government in Africa in the student newspaper, The Lincolnian. During his time in the United States, Nkrumah also preached at black Presbyterian churches in Philadelphia and New York City. He read books about politics and divinity and tutored students in philosophy. Nkrumah encountered the ideas of Marcus Garvey and in 1943 met and began a lengthy correspondence with Trinidadian Marxist C.L.R. James, Russian expatriate Raya Dunayevskaya, and Chinese-American Grace Lee Boggs, all whom were members of an American-based Trotskyist intellectual cohort. Nkrumah credited James with teaching him how an underground movement worked. Nkrumah's association with these radicals drew him to the attention of the FBI, and he was placed under surveillance by the early part of 1945. Nkrumah returned to London in May 1945 with the intention of studying at the London School of Economics. After meeting with George Padmore, he helped organize the 5th Pan-African Congress in Manchester, England. Then he founded the West African National Secretariat to work towards the decolonization of Africa. Nkrumah served as vice president of the West African Students' Union. Nkrumah's association with left-wing radicals meant that he was watched by the Special Branch while he was in England between 1945 and 1947. In the autumn of 1947, Nkrumah was invited to serve as the General Secretary to the United Gold Coast Convention under Joseph Boakai Dankwa. This political convention was exploring paths to independence. Nkrumah accepted the position and sailed for the Gold Coast after brief stops in Sierra Leone, Liberia, and the Ivory Coast. He arrived in the Gold Coast on the 10th of December 1947. On the 28th of February 1948, police fired on an African ex-serviceman protesting the rising cost of living, killing and injuring 68 people. The shooting spurred riots in Accra, Kumasi, and elsewhere. The government suspected the United Gold Coast Convention was behind the protests and on the 12th of March 1948 arrested Nkrumah and other party leaders. Realizing their error, the British released the convention leaders on the 12th of April 1948. After his imprisonment by the colonial government, Nkrumah emerged as the leader of the youth movement in 1948. After his release, Nkrumah hitchhiked around the country. He proclaimed that the Gold Coast needed self-governance now and built a large power base. Cocoa farmers rallied to his cause. He invited women to participate in the political process at the time when women's suffrage was new to Africa. The trade unions also allied with his movement. On the 12th of June 1949, he organized these groups into a new political party, the Convention People's Party. The British convened a selected commission of middle-class Africans to draft a new constitution that would give Ghana more self-government. Under the new constitution, only those with sufficient wage and property would be allowed to vote. Nkrumah organized a People's Assembly with the CCP party members, youth, trade unionists, farmers and veterans. They called for universal franchise without property qualifications, a separate House of Chiefs, a self-governing status under the Statute of Westminster 1931. These amendments, known as the Constitutional Proposals of October 1949, were rejected by the colonial administration. When the colonial administration rejected the People's Assembly's recommendations, Nkrumah organized a positive action campaign on the 1st of January 1950, including civil disobedience, non-cooperation, boycotts and strikes. That day, the colonial administration immediately arrested Nkrumah and many CPP supporters, and he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Facing international protest and internal resistance, the British decided to leave the Gold Coast. Britain organized the first general election to be held under universal franchise between the 5th to the 10th of February 1951. Though Nkrumah was in jail, his CPP was elected by a landslide. Taking 34 out of 38 elected seats in the Legislative Assembly, Komla Agbeli Gbedema is credited with organizing Nkrumah's entire campaign, while he, Nkrumah, was still in prison at Fort James. Nkrumah was released from prison on the 12th of February and was summoned by Sir Charles Arden Clark, the governor, and asked to form a government on the 13th of February. The new Legislative Assembly met on the 20th of February, with Nkrumah as leader of government business and E.C. Quist as president of the Assembly. A year later, the constitution was amended to provide a prime minister on the 10th of March 1952, and Nkrumah was elected to that post by a secret ballot in the Assembly, 45 to 31, with 8 abstentions on the 21st of March. He presented his motion of destiny to the Assembly, requesting independence within the British Commonwealth. As soon as the necessary constitutional arrangements are made on the 10th of July 1953, and that body approved. As a leader of this government, Nkrumah faced many challenges. First, to learn to govern. Second, to unify the 4 territories of the Gold Coast. Third, to win his nation's complete independence from the United Kingdom. Nkrumah was successful at all 3 goals. Within 6 years of his release from prison, he was the leader of an independent nation.
The people of the Gold Coast had had their own assembly under the British, but not independence. In 1957, they became the first black Africans to get complete freedom. Leaders from East and West came to Accra to see the handover. Vice President Nixon represented the United States. He arrived with a delegation that included civil rights leader Martin Luther King.
A new order is coming into being, and an old order is passing away. It seems to me that this is fit testimony to the fact that eventually the forces of justice triumph in the universe, and somehow the universe itself is on the side of freedom and justice.
The British were proud of the peaceful nature of the transfer.
For Dr. Nkrumah, main architect of Ghana's independence, this is a day of fulfillment. The longing to be free, the need to be free, these are part of the rightful heritage of man. a heritage denied to colonial Africa until now.
The Gold Coast was renamed Ghana, with a parliamentary system modelled on Westminster. Committing themselves to civil rights, the new government put up a huge commemorative arch.
Here, but a handful of years ago, men laid down their lives for a cause that was not yet won, for freedom, for justice.
Komla Bedema had been with Nkrumah from the start. Now he shared the glory.
And in the subdued light, we mounted the platform and were all ready when the lights all went on at 5 minutes to 12. With me standing on the right hand side of Nkrumah, everybody was happy. The cheering probably is still resounding, but we don't hear it.
At long last, the battle has ended. And thus, Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever. From now on, there is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs. Now I want you all, those who have hats on, to take off your hats and let the band play our national anthem. And from now on, that national anthem is the national anthem of the Gogo to be played on all occasions.
The song of the night was called Freedom Highlife, written by E.T. Mensah, the king of African highlife music.
Ghana, we had our freedom. Ghana, land of freedom. Toils of the brave and the sweat of the labor. Toils of the brave which have brought results. Toils of the brave and the sweat of their labor. Toils of the brave which have brought results.
It's very great that day at the Independence Square. People are dancing, singing. They love the music and the song.
The song really symbolizes the saying of Kwame Nkrumah, at long last, the battle is ended.
Because we have freedom. We have our freedom.
Ghana, we now have freedom. Ghana.
Already being hailed as the father of African nationalism, Nkrumah gave funds to other nationalist movements and preached the message across the continent.
This mid-20th century is Africa's. This decade is the decade of African independence. Forward then to independence. To independence now. Tomorrow, the United States of Africa.
People in History will continue after this short message.
Your definition of service shapes every interaction you have with your customers, and that's why Planet Radio 101.1 FM, in the bid to serve you better, has expanded horizons. Come to a new office as you visit The Choice Restaurant at Mary Slessor Avenue, Calabar, Cross River State. The Choice Restaurant is the place where you get that taste of African dishes side by side with American delicacies. Enjoy the best of meals money can buy at The Choice Calabar American Restaurant at Mary Slessor Avenue by Calabar Road, Calabar, Cross River State. Planet Radio 101.1 FM, revolving around you. For more inquiries, call 0706 476 7863.
Brother James.
Auntie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This one wey born for job, person die for your family.
Auntie, if person would die for my family, thief of better.
God forbid.
Auntie, God not dey forbid. How person go come store since morning, 2 days now, never said she come, he say wetin God dey forbid.
Brother James,
Auntie.
you still dey back oh. You no say person wey dey do business wey dey advertise, e be like where dey cut eye give pay for darkness inside.
Auntie, I never cut eye give pay for night once o.
Brother James, no be the matter be that. Advertise with the Planet Radio. If you advertise the Planet Radio, say now be say your business go dey go up, so tey e go even go up pass the sky.
Auntie, you know this kind thing since. Now you no tell me until you go wicked o.
Brother James, no be talk dey bring talk.
Auntie, now we are go coffee to advertise with Planet Radio now.
Hey, now you come. Our advertising office 9 day for where they call number 2 Taft Plaza Close off Akaitina for inside Uyo go. Or if you still block us for where we station day, Planet Avenue for Ibiakura. Now there the station Tanda.
Auntie, as me and you dey talk now, sef, my spirit now, it don't even reach Akaitina now. You not even know now, my spirit don't reach Akaitina.
Now you call, brother.
Auntie, thank you.
For proper information, if you control us for this number, maybe 0703 803 6732 or 0708 225 3225. Now there you go take get us.
Hey, my body now is radio, Auntie. Hey, for Planet Radio.
Your business go up.
Up.
Go up.
Up.
They go up.
Up. Auntie, thank you.
When the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets and love will stare the stars. The dawn of a new age, the age of Aquarius. Harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abound. No more falsehoods or derisions, but golden living dreams and visions. The mind's true liberation. Planet Radio 101.1 FM. Revolving around you.
Revolving around you. Welcome back to People in History. At 12 noon on the 6th of March 1957, Nkrumah declared Ghana independent. The country became a Commonwealth realm. He was hailed as the Osagyefo, which means Redeemer in the Twi language. On the 6th of March 1960, Nkrumah announced plans for a new constitution which would make Ghana a republic. The draft included a provision to surrender Ghanaian sovereignty to a Union of African States. On the 19th, 23rd and 27th of April 1960, a presidential election and plebiscite of the Constitution were held. The Constitution was ratified and Nkrumah was elected president over J.B. Dankwa, the UP candidate, 1,016,076 to 124,623. In 1961, Nkrumah laid the first stones in the foundation of the Kwame Nkrumah Ideological Institute, created to train Ghanaian civil servants as well as promote Pan-Africanism.
I want to take this opportunity to welcome again to the United States, which he knows so well, the first citizen of Ghana, President Nkrumah. Yesterday, in his speech at the United Nations, he quoted a common hero, I believe, Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson also once said, "The disease of liberty is catching." It has been the object of our guest's life to make sure that that disease of liberty spreads around the globe. He has fought for it in his own country. He fights for it in Africa. He fights for it in the world. We share the same basic aspiration for the United States as he works for his own country. We share the same basic aspiration for Africa that he wishes for, and for the world. It is therefore a great honor and a great pleasure for me as President of the United States to welcome a distinguished citizen of a friendly country and also a distinguished citizen of the world, the President of Ghana, President Nkrumah.
Mr. President, as this is our first meeting since your assumption of responsibility as the President of the United States, may I be permitted to offer you my personal and hearty congratulations and those of the government and people of Ghana. We all look forward to a period of continued cooperation and understanding between our two countries. I hope that our meeting today will strengthen our relations and contribute towards the establishment of lasting peace and stability in Africa and in the world. These are troublous times. They are also times of opportunity for action. Let us therefore emphasize and consolidate the very many things that unite us, and from that starting point, tackle the problem which confront us in our time. I am sure, Mr. President, that success will crown our efforts. I thank you and the people of the United States for the warm welcome that has been accorded to me.
Hey,
1964, all students entering college in Ghana were required to attend a 2-week ideological orientation at the institute. Nkrumah remarked that trainees should be made to realize the party's ideology is religion and should be practiced faithfully and fervently. In 1963, Nkrumah was awarded the Lenin Peace Prize by the Soviet Union. Ghana became a charter member of the Organization of African Unity in 1963. The Gold Coast had been among the wealthiest and most socially advanced areas in Africa, with schools, railways, hospitals, social security, and an advanced economy. Under Nkrumah's leadership, Ghana adopted some socialist policies and practices. Nkrumah created a welfare system, started various community programs, and established schools. Nkrumah's time in office was initially successful, with forestry, fishing, and cattle breeding expanded. Production of cocoa, Ghana's main export, doubled, and modest deposits of bauxite and gold exploited more effectively. The construction of a dam on the Volta River, launched in 1961, provided water for irrigation and hydroelectric power, which produced enough electricity for the towns as well as for a new aluminium plant. Government funds were also provided for village projects in which local people built schools and roads, while free healthcare and education were introduced. He generally took a non-aligned Marxist perspective on economics and believed capitalism had malignant effects that were going to stay with Africa for a long time. Although he was clear on distancing himself from the African socialism of many of his contemporaries, Nkrumah argued that socialism was the system that would best accommodate the changes that capitalism had brought. While still respecting African values, he specifically addresses these issues and his politics in a 1967 essay entitled African Socialism Revisited. Nkrumah was also best known politically for his strong commitment to the promotion of Pan-Africanism. He was inspired by the writings of black intellectuals such as Marcus Garvey, W.E.B. Du Bois, and George Padmore, and his relationships with them. Much of his understanding and relationship to these men was created during his years in America as a student. Some would argue that his greatest inspiration was Marcus Garvey, although he also had a meaningful relationship with C.L.R. James. Nkrumah looked to these men in order to craft a general solution to the ills of Africa. To follow in these intellectual footsteps, Nkrumah had intended to continue his education in London, but ultimately found himself involved in direct activism. Then, motivated by advice by Du Bois, Nkrumah decided to focus on creating peace in Africa. Nkrumah's dedications to Pan-Africanism in action attracted these intellectuals to his Ghanaian projects. Many Americans such as Du Bois and Kwame Nkrumah moved to Ghana to join him in his efforts. These men are buried there today.
Waiting for the master. What can you tell me? Waiting for the master. What can you tell me? What can you tell me? Why you do me so? What can you tell me? Why you do me so?
People in History will continue after this short message.
Doing business without advertising is like winking at a lady in the dark. The benefits of advertising are latent and will certainly manifest. Advertise with the Planet Radio. Our commercial office is located at number 2 Taft Plaza Close off Akaitinang Road. In Uyo, Planet Radio commercial office is open for business from Monday through Sunday from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. The address again is number 2 Taft Plaza Close off Akaitinang Road. In Uyo, also available for booking is the state-of-the-art recording studio. For advert booking, please call 070-380-36732 or 0818-22-61929. Planet Radio 101.1, revolving around you.
Your definition of service shapes every interaction you have with your customers, and that's why Planet Radio 101.1 FM in the beat to serve you better has expanded horizons. Come to a new office as you visit The Choice Restaurant at Mary Slessor Avenue, Calabar, Cross River State. The Choice Restaurant is the place where you get that taste of African dishes side by side with American delicacies. Enjoy the best of meals money can buy at The Choice Calabar American Restaurant at Mary Slessor Avenue by Calabar Road, Calabar, Cross River State. Planet Radio 101.1 FM, revolving around you. For more inquiries, call 0706 476 7863.
When the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets and love will stare the stars. The dawn of a new age, the age of Aquarius. Harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abound. No more falsehoods or derisions, but golden living dreams and visions. The mind's true liberation. Planet Radio 101.1 FM. Revolving around you.
Revolving around you. Welcome back to People in History.
Airport, and the drummers and the banners were out to welcome an important visitor, Prime Minister Dr. Kwame Nkrumah from Ghana. The plane was delayed an hour by engine trouble in Accra, but when Dr. Nkrumah eventually arrived, he received a warm welcome from the Prime Minister of the Federation, Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. The Guard of Honor, 48 strong, was found by the 1st Battalion, the Queen's Own Nigeria Regiment, who brought their mascot along. Dr. Nkrumah carried out the inspection, his first official duty of a visit which was to last 12 days. After his stay in Lagos, tours were to be made of the 3 regions and the Cameroons. It was a fine opportunity for the Prime Minister to see how life is lived in a country soon to follow in the independent steps of his own. After the military ceremonies were complete, Dr. Nkrumah walked across to meet ministers and people important in the life of the federal capital. In the Prime Minister's party were Mr. Krobo Edusi, now Minister of Communications and Transport, Mr. Kojo Botsio, Minister of External Affairs, and Mr. Kofi Bako, Minister of Information and Broadcasting. From the airport, Dr. Nkrumah left for the federal ministerial residence, where he stayed during his time in Lagos. Later, there was a reception to welcome the distinguished guest to Nigeria. Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa posed with his visitor. For this was a historic occasion, the first time that a Prime Minister of an independent Ghana had visited the Federation. Then both Prime Ministers awaited the arrival of His Excellency the Governor-General and Lady Robertson. Again, there were more pictures to pose for. There can be no doubt that many topics relating to West Africa's future would be discussed during the next 12 days, and many personal friendships made, which would help towards the establishing of a close understanding between Nigeria and Ghana. The police band provided the music, and the party was attended by some 500 guests. During his stay in Lagos, Dr. Nkrumah went to the new naval headquarters at Apapa, known as Her Majesty's Nigerian ship Kwara. He came by launch from Government House. The naval force is the youngest of Nigeria's fighting services. It became part of the armed forces in May 1958, but over a year earlier, training of the first entry of junior ratings had begun. The basic course lasts for 6 months and includes every aspect of life afloat. The name of the station is, of course, a historic one, for in 1832, the Kwara was one of the first ships ever to go up the River Niger. There can be no doubt that Dr. Nkrumah found this visit extremely interesting. The more so because for the first time, and to quote Sir James Robertson, Nigeria has her own navy, in which Nigerians may serve on the high seas for the protection of their country. After taking farewell of Mr. A.G. Gardner-Brown, the acting Deputy Governor-General, Dr. Nkrumah left for his next visit to the Yaba Trade Center. At the center, he was welcomed by the Federal Minister of Education, the Honorable Aja Nwachukwu, the Principal of the Center, Mr. W.G. Konke, and the Permanent Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Mr. V.H.K. Littlewood. The Yaba Center is an important part of the system of training young men for trade and industry. With the great expansion programs which are underway, Nigeria needs skilled craftsmen well versed in modern techniques, and at Yaba, the work of providing them is being carried out. Dr. Nkrumah saw many aspects of the center, including the fitting, turning, and cabinet-making shops.
Nkrumah's biggest success in this area was his significant influence in the founding of the Organization of African Unity. Nkrumah attempted to rapidly industrialize Ghana's economy. He reasoned that if Ghana escaped the colonial trade system by reducing dependence on foreign capital, technology and material goods, it could become truly independent. However, overspending on capital projects caused the country to be driven into debt, estimated as much as $1 billion by the time he was ousted in 1966. The year 1954 was pivotal for the Nkrumah era. In that year's independence elections, he tallied some of the independence election vote. However, the same year saw the world price of cocoa rise from £150 to £450 per ton. Rather than allowing cocoa farmers to maintain the windfall, Nkrumah appropriated the increased revenue via central government levies, then invested the capital into various national development projects. This policy alienated one of the major constituencies that helped him come to power. From 1958 onward, Nkrumah's regime became increasingly authoritarian. After the gold miners' strike of 1955, Nkrumah introduced the Trade Union Act, which made strikes illegal, while Nkrumah had organized strikes just a few years before. He now opposed industrial democracy because it conflicted with the rapid industrial development. When he suspected opponents in parliament of plotting against him, he wrote the Preventive Detention Act that made it possible for his administration to arrest and detain anyone charged with treason or otherwise deemed a security risk without due process of law in the judicial system. Prisoners were often held without trial, and their only legal method of recourse was personal appeal to Nkrumah himself. When the railway workers went on strike in 1961, Nkrumah ordered strike leaders and opposition politicians arrested under the Trade Union Act of 1958. He told the unions that their days as advocates for the safety and just compensation of miners were over, and that their new job was to work with management to mobilize human resources. Wages must give way to patriotic duty because the good of the nation superseded the good of the individual workers, Nkrumah's administration contended. The Detention Act led to widespread dissatisfaction with Nkrumah's administration. Some of his associates used the law to arrest innocent people to acquire their political offices and business assets. Advisors close to Nkrumah became reluctant to question policies for fear that they might be seen as opponents. When the clinics ran out of pharmaceuticals, no one notified him. Some people believe that he no longer cared. Police came to resent their role in society, particularly after Nkrumah superseded most of their duties and responsibilities with his personal guard, the National Security Service and Presidential Guard regiments. Nkrumah disappeared from public view out of fear of assassination following multiple attempts on his life. In 1964, he proposed a constitutional amendment which would make the CPP the only legal party and himself president for life of both nation and party. The amendment passed with 99.91% of the vote, an impossibly high total that led observers to condemn the vote as obviously rigged. In any event, Ghana had effectively been a one-party state since independence. The amendment transformed Nkrumah's presidency into a de facto legal dictatorship. Nkrumah's advocacy for industrial development with help of longtime friend and Minister of Finance Komla Agbeli Gbedema led to the construction of a hydroelectric power plant, the Akosombo Dam on the Volta River in eastern Ghana. Kaiser Aluminium agreed to build the dam for Nkrumah, but restricted what could be produced using the power generated. Nkrumah borrowed money to build the dam and placed Ghana in debt. To finance the debt, he raised taxes on the cocoa farmers in the south. This accentuated regional differences and jealousy. The dam was completed and opened by Nkrumah amidst world publicity on the 22nd of January 1966. The dam was completed and opened by Nkrumah amidst world publicity on the 22nd of January 1966. Nkrumah wanted Ghana to have modern armed forces, so he acquired aircrafts and ships and introduced conscription. He also gave military support to rebels fighting against the government of Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, which had declared independence from Britain in 1965. In February 1966, while Nkrumah was on a state visit to North Vietnam and China, his government was overthrown in a military coup led by Emmanuel Kwasi Kotoka and the National Liberation Council. Nkrumah believed that the CIA had supported the coup, but his accusation was based on forged evidence given to him by the KGB. No official documentary evidence exists implicating the United States in the coup. People in History will continue after this short message.
Brother James.
Auntie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This one wey born for job, person die for your family.
Auntie, if person would die for my family, thief of better.
God forbid.
Auntie, God not dey forbid. How person go come store since morning, 2 days now, never said she come, he say wetin God dey forbid.
Brother James,
Auntie.
you still dey back oh. You no say person wey dey do business wey dey advertise, e be like where dey cut eye give pay for darkness inside.
Auntie, I never cut eye give pay for night once o.
Brother James, no be the matter be that. Advertise with the Planet Radio. If you advertise the Planet Radio, say now be say your business go dey go up, so tey e go even go up pass the sky.
Auntie, you know this kind thing since. Now you no tell me until you go wicked o.
Brother James, no be talk dey bring talk.
Auntie, now we are go coffee to advertise with Planet Radio now.
Hey, now you come. Our advertising office 9 day for where they call number 2 Taft Plaza Close off Akaitina for inside Uyogogogo. Or if you still block us for where we station day, Planet Avenue for Ibiakura. Now there the station Tanda.
Auntie, as me and you dey talk now, sef, my spirit now, it don't even reach Akaitina now. You not even know now, my spirit don't reach Akaitina.
Now you call, brother.
Auntie, thank you.
For proper information, if you can trust for this number, maybe 0703 803 6732 or 0708 225 3225. Now there you go take get us.
Hey, my body now is radio, Auntie. Hey, for Planet Radio.
Your business go up.
Up.
They go up.
Up.
They go up.
Up. Auntie, thank you.
Your definition of service shapes every interaction you have with your customers, and that's why Planet Radio 101.1 FM in the beat to serve you better has expanded horizons. Come to a new office as you visit The Choice Restaurant at Mary Slessor Avenue, Calabar, Cross River State. The Choice Restaurant is the place where you get that taste of African dishes side by side with American delicacies. Enjoy the best of meals money can buy at The Choice Calabar American Restaurant at Mary Slessor Avenue by Calabar Road, Calabar, Cross River State. Planet Radio 101.1 FM, revolving around you. For more inquiries, call 0706 476 7863.
When the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets and love will stare the stars. The dawn of a new age, the age of Aquarius. Harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abound. No more falsehoods or derisions, but golden living dreams and visions. The mind's true liberation. Planet Radio 101.1 FM. Revolving around you.
Revolving around you. Welcome back to People in History. Nkrumah never returned to Ghana, but he continued to push for his vision of African unity. He lived in exile in Conakry, Guinea, as the guest of President Ahmed Sékou Touré, who made him an honorary co-president of the country. He read, wrote, corresponded, gardened, and entertained guests. Despite retirement from public office, he felt that he was still threatened by Western intelligence agencies. When his cook died mysteriously, he feared that someone would poison him and began hoarding food in his room. He suspected that foreign agents were going through his mail and lived in constant fear of abduction and assassination. In failing health, he flew to Bucharest, Romania for medical treatment in August 1971. He died of prostate cancer in April 1972 at the age of 62.
After the independence, the Ghanaians started having the joy within themselves that now Ghana is our motherland, so it's our home and we can do anything we like in it.
I remember that the first educational policy, which introduced fee-free education at the primary level, brought out thousands and thousands of children. Factories sprang up all over Accra, all of a sudden, overnight, there were new class of industrial working people. People were earning wages for the first time in their lives.
It seemed for a moment as if everyone had won. All over West Africa, colonial governments were crumbling and Africans were taking control.
Nkrumah declared right from the independence that the independence of Ghana would be meaningless except the whole African states are all liberated.
When Guinea became independent, France withdrew every support and even dismantled services and infrastructure. Ghana went in there and gave them some loans. To some people, Ghana was asked to make too much sacrifices for the independence of other countries in Africa.
By 1964, Ghana's once promising economy was suffering. As the tide began to turn against Nkrumah, he began to use dictatorial tactics, taking over control of the country's newspapers and radio stations, and declaring himself president for life.
he promises of improving human rights record. But when he was in power, those things were not fulfilled. And when the people demand for it, then it's like a crime against the government. So they may be imprisoned and some were even executed.
As Kwame Nkrumah's reign became unbearable, his opponents moved against him, orchestrating a coup d'etat while he was out of the country on a diplomatic mission.
By the time the coup d'etat came, this country was fed up with him. The country was densely hostile to the government. People couldn't breathe. People were choked. They couldn't express any views. People were scared of each other. It was really a terrible atmosphere.
The successful coup d'etat crushed Nkrumah's regime. Today, however, there is little evidence of Nkrumah's woeful fall from grace. A major boulevard and national museum bear his name. Visiting dignitaries pay tribute to his memory. And ironically, even leaders who opposed him credit Nkrumah with laying the foundation of Ghana's stable republic.
We try to have that kind of imagination that when I grow up, I would like to be a politician, I would like to rule like Kwame Nkrumah.
This country still survives on that generation of people who had education under Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah is the only name that is meaningful in our history since independence up to today.
Nkrumah was buried in a tomb in the village of his birth, Nkroful, Ghana. While the tomb remains in Nkroful, his remains were transferred to a large national memorial tomb and park in Accra. Over his lifetime, Nkrumah was awarded honorary doctorates by Lincoln University, Moscow State University, Cairo University in Cairo, Egypt, Humboldt University in East Berlin, and many other universities. In 2000, he was voted Africa's Man of the Millennium by listeners to the major broadcasting network in the United Kingdom, being described by them as a hero of independence and an international symbol of freedom, as the leader of the first black African country to shake off the chains of colonial rule. In September 2009, President John Atta Mills declared the 21st of December, the 100th anniversary of Kwame Nkrumah's birth, to be Founders' Day, a statutory holiday in Ghana to celebrate the legacy of Kwame Nkrumah. As midnight struck on March 5, 1957, and the Gold Coast became Ghana, Nkrumah declared, "We are going to see that we create our own African personality and identity." Nkrumah said he was most inspired by Marcus Garvey's messages, like Africa for the Africans, at home and abroad. Nkrumah said, "All people of African descent, whether they live in North or South America and the Caribbean, or in any part of the world, are Africans and belong to the African nation." We know that the traditional African society was founded on principles of egalitarianism. In its actual workings, however, it had various shortcomings. Its humanist impulse, nevertheless, is something that continues to urge us towards our all-African socialist reconstruction. Pan-Africanism is the total liberation and unification of Africa under scientific socialism. The total liberation and unification of Africa under the all-African socialist government must be the primary objective of all black revolutionaries throughout the world. It is an objective which, when achieved, will bring about the fulfillment of the aspirations of Africans and people of African descent everywhere. It will, at the same time, advance the triumph of the international socialist revolution. The freedom and development of the African woman are indispensable to the freedom and emancipation of the African people. The degree of a country's revolutionary awareness may be measured by the political maturity of its women and on the quality of political organizing. One market woman in Accra was worth any dozen Achimota graduates. Women must participate fully in the work of political education and organization. A class is nothing more than the sum of total individuals bound together by certain interests, which as a class they try to preserve and protect. The African Revolution is an integral part of the world socialist revolution, and just as the class struggle is basic to world revolutionary processes, so also is its fundamental to be the struggle of the workers and peasants in Africa. The essence of neo-colonialism is the state, in theory independent, but in reality its economic system and thus its political policy is directed from outside. Our Ghana's independence is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of the African continent. The concept of African unity embraces the fundamental needs and characteristics of African civilization and ideology, and at the same time satisfies all the conditions necessary for an accelerated economic and technological advance. I believe strongly and sincerely that with the deep-rooted wisdom and dignity, the innate respect for human lives, the intense humanity that is our heritage, the African race, united under one federal government, will emerge not as just another world bloc to flaunt its wealth and strength, but as a great power whose greatness is indestructible because it is not built on fear, envy, and suspicion, nor one at the expense of others, but founded on hope, trust, friendship, and directed to the good of all mankind.
The forces arrayed against us are, and I use the word most carefully, formidable. They are entrenched and powerful. They are, as I have taken some pains to explain, they operate in worldwide combinations at all levels: political, economic, military, cultural, educational, social, and trade. And not all, and through intelligence, cultural, and information services. They operate from European and African centers, using agents who, I'm ashamed to say, are often unpatriotic sons of Africa, buying personal satisfactions with the betrayal of their country's safety and integrity. They seduce leaders. They seduce leaders of the African political, trade union, and people's organization, thus creating rifts and quarrels within the national front. On the broader front, they are amassing their forces in a determined effort to stay the advance of African liberation and the march of unity. They are attempting many methods, some sinister, some beguiling, to wreck our efforts. They strike antipathetic postures. On one side, they perform acts calculated to strike fear. On the other, they try to hoodwink us with fictitious gifts, which superficially pander to our hopes and aspirations. They are the president's attempts to deflect our purpose, to weaken our determination.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.